All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to try to show you how to change a thermostat on an '07 Duramax. My thermostat has not been acting up to my knowledge, but I took it in to get smogged and the check engine light was on, but that thing comes on and then it goes off. And so I just took this truck on a trip to Utah for hunting, and I didn't have any issues with my temperature gauge. Of course, it wasn't cold enough for us to use the heater, but they say that the heater won't be as hot, obviously, with the thermostats on these machines if they go bad. So the code came up that I needed to change the thermostat, so that's what I'm attempting to do. I got online and watched a few other videos, and they told me I had to take off the air conditioner and all these things. And if you look at mine, this is the top that was right there. It's one Torx bolt that takes it off, and you take it off, and then in the back there is a flathead screwdriver that takes off the rest of it, and then the whole thing just comes off. I'm going to set that to the side. And so right here is the thermostat's housing. And so I'm going to attempt just to take off these bolts and see if I can get this out without having to take off the air conditioner and some of the other things that it talked about. Now this engine oil tube, they said I might have to take off, and there's just one bolt down there that I'm going to see if that if I don't need to take it off, because the other video I watched, you didn't have to take this off. You can take these bolts off, and these clips here for the thermostats, and then you can kind of pull it up and get to them without taking the whole thing off. The last person, last video that I watched, it's like a mechanic shop, they took them off, took the whole thing out, and they, kind of emery cloth the thermostat housing to make sure that it was clean and everything. But I'm not a super mechanic, so I'm going to try to do this way, and we will go through this together to see if it's possible, and I'll show you exactly what I have to do to get this housing off so that I can get to the two thermostats. And in a Chevy or in a Duramax, there's two thermostats, one right behind the other, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so I have a big pan underneath to catch any of the stuff that might coolant that's going to come out. So right now I've got a looks like a 12 millimeter, yeah, 12 millimeter, and I've loosened up these bolts here on the top bracket. You can see that they're just 3 bolts on the top bracket. I'm going to take them out. They're long-winded. Well, the smaller bolt goes in the back, so 2 of the big ones there on the front bracket, and the smaller bolt goes in the back. So we've still got a lot of tension there, so I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to stop the video for a second while I get another tripod holder. So now I'm going to take off this oil filler port here. It's another 12 millimeter bolt. And that's off of there now. And that kind of moves pretty good, but it's still kind of attached, so what I might do, I really don't know how to get in here. There's a bracket, there's a bolt right here, but I might have to use a 12mm end wrench, and we'll try that. So hold on a second. Okay, so this bolt right here, why they did this, they made it a 13 instead of a 12 like I've been using. So this is just another part of the bracket I'm going to take off of here so that I can get this bracket out of the way and see if I can get to these see if I can get to the top of that thermostat. Got it. So now that bracket comes up and out of the way for me, hopefully, to get to that thermostat. Now there's still this oil fill that I could try to do something with here. There's one of those plastic caps that keeps this bracket, you know, one of those one-way jobs that keeps the bracket kind of in my way. So if I can get that off of there, which I'll just kind of push on it. There it comes. All right, so that bracket's out of our way now. So I'll put that over there. And here's our thermostat right there. The thermostat housing's right here. So now I'm going to try to, this is a bleeder screw right here, and that's what we're going to bleed when we go to refill the coolant. Once it starts coming out of there, you close this bleeder cap, this bleeder bolt. And so now I got a couple of connectors here that slip off. Okay, so these were right here, and they just took a little prying with a screwdriver and they came off. The sensors are off, so I'll kind of move those out of the way. And now there's a bolt right here it looks like I got to take off, and I think maybe this one too, right there. You can see that right there. And then there's also one down here in the front right there. Now we got to take those off, and then I should be able to pry up that thermostat. Okay, so I took off the bolt that was right here, and I've loosened this bolt, and we'll take this one off. I'll set those here so I know where they're at. And now I'm pulling, and I don't feel a lot of give, but they did say it would be tough. All right, so I took this bolt out here. I think it's just holding this bracket in right there. So I took that bolt out, a little short stubby guy, another 12. And now I'm going to see if I can get this thing to come out, which I don't know. I'm hearing some hissing, and then now I've broken the seal. I can feel it, and there it comes. It's starting to drip out. going into my pan underneath. And I can see the thermostats, but I can't really get down to where I want to. Make sure it's going in the pan. There it is. Like that, it's going in the pan. So now I gotta kind of figure out I don't know if I can wiggle this thing off or if I've got to take this bracket off back here. Like if I take this off right here, I might be able to lift this whole thing up more, which I'm hoping I can. So let's see what we can do there. Okay, so I was able to pry this up enough after I took off the oil fill cap, and I was able to get both thermostats out. So you have a front one, and it doesn't have any holes in the top. That one goes on the front. And then you have the back one, and it has 2 holes up top. And you can see right there, there's some kind of broken rubber. You can see a little bit of brass, but then the rubber's kind of broken. So that's probably what it was. It was the back one. But when you put this in, you have to have these 2 holes facing the back, okay, when you put it in. So make sure you do that. That's just what they say to do. So I'm gonna get my 2 new thermostats out and see if I can get them in there without having too much trouble. So I'll hold on a second. Okay, I got my thermostats from Napa, and the part number for this 07 Duramax is right there if you need it. And it has 2. Just like we pulled out, one has no holes on the top and the other has, looks like the 2 goofy looking holes on the top. So that's what we have, and we're going to attempt to put that in here. So if you can see back there, you can see I got my headlamp on. I'm trying to help you out here, but let me see if I can get this camera a little lower. So I've got the one in there already, and now I'm going to put the other one in the front. All right, I figured out what happened there. If you remember, this was way wide. See how that gap's right there? Well, I loosened that bolt back up, and then I put it back together, and that's where this extra bolt goes to. That for the life of me, I was like, I didn't have any other place, right? So don't tighten up this oil filler down there first. Make sure you got this whole bracket together and then tighten them up. And that way you'll be looking at me, or looking like I was looking for a spacer or something. But no, it wasn't that. It was just the fact that I had, when I tightened that bolt up down there, it pulled this oil filler away from here, and it didn't look right. So that's what it was. Okay, so I have loosened up this bolt right here. This is the bleeder. It's kind of hard to see, but it's this bolt right here, and we're going to take that off. And I'm going to set the camera down so I don't lose it. I'm trying to get it out because I don't want to lose it, so I'm going to put both hands on it. So we've got the thermostats in. We torque that. We torque this thing back on. We put there's a little flathead screw down there to secure this. I don't even know what that thing is, but it's there. So I've taken the bleeder bolt out, and now I'm going to open up the coolant, and we're going to add the Dexcool coolant to it, which I got these to add to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that until they say it's supposed to come out of the bleeder. So I'm going to set this guy up to watch the bleeder hole. All right, there it is. The deck's cool's coming out. We're gonna bleed this down to get it down to where it's supposed to be, as I filled it up a little too much. I didn't know it was gonna come out so slowly. So we're going to let that bubble out until I reach where we want to reach. And what I'm looking at is the line on my tank. I put a little too much in. It just must have took a bit for it to register. And it's still coming out of the bleeder hole. We'll let that get down close to that full mark, which is right there. Okay, so we are almost to the full line right there. I don't know, it's kind of maybe hard to see, but the bleeder is, it's still trickling out a little bit right there. But we're gonna go ahead now that we're really close to that line right there. We're gonna go ahead and put the cap back on the bleeder right at the full mark. And it's cold, so the engine hasn't been started. So I'm gonna set the camera down. Hopefully you can see that little hole, and I'm going to attempt to put the little bleeder bolt back in. And it's threading on as tight as I can. And I'm going to take my wrench. And again, this is a 12 millimeter. And we'll see if we can get this tightened up. It's kind of hard to do because this oil spout is in the way. So once you get it, I loosened the oil spout up a touch so that I could get this wrench in there. And it doesn't take much to get it to be tight. And then I just went ahead and tightened up the oil spout again. So I'm out driving the truck now, and the temperature, it's kind of hard to see, but it's at 210 roughly, maybe 208. And working good. I turned the heater on at 90 and it got hot quickly and was good. It seems to be running a little warmer than it did before, so I guess there was an issue with that. And from what I've gathered online, you can have less fuel economy if your thermostats are not working right. I guess I would think a cooler engine would be better, but not the way I guess the computer sees it or whatever. So that is the official end of this video. You can change that thermostat on a Duramax 07 new body style without having to take off the air conditioner, without having to take off the serpentine belt and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, if you could, again, like and comment, subscribe please. I appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you down the road with another video on something that normal people may have issue with and don't know how to do, and that's what I'm here to help with, because I am just a normal guy that wants to help. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.